Anointed warriors. What up, spiritual family? And welcome back to Mount Fitness MBS Ministry, where I am your host, Brother Mongoose. If you're possibly tuning in for the first time, guys, please be advised right off the bat that I am not a traditional minister, nor is this a traditional ministry. For more information about exactly what I mean by that, please stay tuned to the end of the video. But for now, I'd like to again formally welcome you guys. And I know it's something that we all say it's politically correct and all that, but I genuinely mean that. Not that others don't as well, but I genuinely mean that. Each and every video, each and every time you support this ministry in any way, any time that you take time out of your schedule to hear what a humble man of God, this thing we most commonly refer to as God, such as myself, has to say, I value you guys, appreciate you guys, and you guys are important to me. So reach out to the ministry if I can help you guys even further, and a special shout of love and thanks, appreciation, and gratitude goes out to the longtime subscribers and supporters of the ministry. Without further ado, guys, we're going to get off into today's topic where we're talking about pursuing perfection. You know, we're raised as kids and we're taught as children, and we've been given this idea that perfection is the goal. And while that is true in a very organic sense, there's both pros and cons that come along with pursuing perfection. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm speaking of, when I say perfection, I'm speaking specifically in the area of earthly perfection, worldly perfection, and perfection of self. We all know that spiritual perfection, refinement, renewal, evolution, and all of these things are par for the course. So when I say spiritual perfection as it relates to this, when I say pursuing perfection as it relates to this particular message, I'm precisely referring to worldly, earthly perfections and self-perfection. And let me establish this. When I say perfection, I'm not talking about being a perfectionist. Like we've all been taught and warned against being a perfectionist. And those two different things are slightly different. A perfectionist is a guy or a girl who's, no matter how good things are, it's not good enough, because they're always pursuing perfection, or they're committed to being a perfectionist. Pursuing perfection is a little bit of the same, but when you're pursuing perfection, you can at least see the strides as being beneficial, the progress as being beneficial. You can appreciate the journey, if you will. But a perfectionist cannot, because they're overwhelmed by this idea, this notion, this concept that everything has to be perfection, and the journey, the strides taken towards perfection, none of these things matter unless ultimate perfection is achieved. That's a perfectionist. The one thing that we have to remember is that when it comes to perfection, perfection can only come from this thing that we most commonly refer to as God. Perfection can only come by way of this thing that we call God. Maybe you guys are familiar with the story or the Bible verse that says promotion doesn't come from the north, the south, the east, or the west. Promotion doesn't come from your education system. It doesn't come from your spouse. It doesn't even come from the person who actually provided you with that promotion. That person was just a tool used by God, just as I'm a tool that's used by God to provide you with this message. So the person, the company, the whatever the case may be that brought you that promotion, it didn't come from them. It came through them. It came from God. And it's the same truth when it comes to perfection. Perfection, just like promotion, doesn't come from the north, the south, the east, or the west. Perfection in you. Perfection when it comes to all your life endeavors. Perfection all around the board can only come from God. And here's a little cheat sheet. You're already perfect. You're already perfect. See, one thing the enemy does, and we'll get into talking about the pros and the cons of pursuing perfection, but one of the tricks used by the enemy is the age-old trick that was used by the enemy in what we refer to as the fall in the garden, or the bite that Eve took from the forbidden fruit. The enemy told her or promised her all these things, that she would receive perfection. Her eyes would be open. She would become like God. She would know the difference between good and evil. And he totally distracted her from the fact that she was already those things. She was already made in the image of this thing we call God. She was already innately informed of the difference between good and evil. Her eyes were already open. She was already perfect. So the thing that we have to be on guard against is failing to realize that we're already perfect. Doesn't mean you don't have trials, you don't have shortcomings, you don't have obstacles, you haven't made mistakes, there aren't things coming against you, whatever the case may be. It doesn't negate those things, nor does it make small those things. But your perfection is not contingent upon those things. You are perfect in the midst of all those things. And if you fail to realize it, then you begin to walk outside of your God-given perfection in the pursuit of earthly, worldly perfection. And now you begin to comprehend. Or let me pose to you this. Do you believe that you aren't perfect? Have the dogma, the indoctrinations, all of the systems of beliefs, perhaps your finances, perhaps you have some weight to lose because you have some attitude adjustments that you need to make. Have these things convinced you into buying into this notion that you're not already perfect? Or do you think God made a mistake with you? Because the God I know, the God I serve, don't make mistakes. So your height, your color and nationality, your financial standings, your weight, even your very mistakes and errors, these were not mistakes in the eyes of this infinite perfection. These were what we consider to be mistakes in the eyes of mankind. And how does what mankind believes, how does that affect, even in the remote sense of what God knows, what God has already done? You are already perfect. Your mistakes were what we would call accurate mistakes. Accurate errors. These are the mistakes that in alignment with your perfection, you needed to make these mistakes in order for you to move forward. Again, we all have challenges. We all have made mistakes. We all may continue to make mistakes. But you're perfect in spite of those things. Nothing about you is a mistake. Not your upbringing, not the fact that you have attitude issues that you need to address, lose some weight, whatever the case may be. These things don't determine if whether or not you are that you are already perfection. That you are already perfection. It's only when you go outside and begin to pursue these things on your own, this is when you fall into error, and you start to put yourself at risk of falling out of balance between experiencing the pros of pursuing perfection and experiencing the cons of pursuing perfection. Now, when it comes to your hopes, your dreams, your God-given desires and inspirations and what we would call ambitions, when it comes to those things, the pursuit of perfection can work wonders in that area. Your pursuit of perfection when it comes to all things, your attitude, your demeanor, the way you treat other people, the way you behave, the way you conduct yourself. If you have a standard of perfection and you're pursuing that perfection as it relates to these type of things, and you're operating under this truth that perfection comes from God, then that pursuit of perfection is very beneficial to you. It's very powerful. But if you lose sight of that and you're pursuing perfection in your own abilities, this is where the problems emerge. Because pursuing perfection in your attitude and your demeanor, and you're doing it from your own sense of power, intelligence, and things of that nature, it's very easy for that same pursuit of perfection to then work against you, to limit you. Because you don't have God as the head figure of it all. You have yourself, and from yourself, your attitude changes based on the situations, the circumstances, the possible benefits and or the possible repercussions. Your attitude, your demeanor, the way you treat people all of a sudden changes. And there is no alternative to perfection. 2 + 2 = 4. There's no alternative to that. You can switch those numbers around and 1 + 3, 1 1/3 plus whatever. But the truth remains. The perfection, there's no knockoff for it. And you start settling for the knockoff. Well, this is what perfection looks like when it comes to my attitude. This is what perfection looks like if I'm in this environment or that environment. Perfection looks like this if I'm talking to my boss, but perfection looks like this when I'm talking to my subordinate. My attitude is this way when it's beneficial in this situation. But my attitude is that way if it's not beneficial in that same situation. You comprehend. If you have a product or services and it's your goal to pursue perfection when it comes to that product or those services, same law applies. If you're putting God first, then your pursuit of perfection is going to reap you tons of benefits. You're going to improve that product. You're going to refine those services. You're going to make upgrades. You're going to make adjustments to keep these things operating at a premium. But when you lose sight of God and start doing it on your own, then the product will ultimately suffer. The clients will suffer. The services will suffer. Because you're doing it from an intellectual standpoint. You're doing it from a business standpoint. And the good book says that the wisdom of man is foolishness to God. So you're trying to perfect that product or those services. It's almost like, if I could use a cruel analogy, it's almost like some of these superstars and models, male and or female, and you see them and they look what we would consider to be great, what we would consider to be perfect. This person seemingly has no flaws in their physicality. But then they turn right around and they go get nose jobs, breast lifts. Guys are getting chest implants and enhancement. And the next thing you know, they don't look the same. And I don't mean to be rude or disrespectful. It's analogous to what we saw took place in, may he rest in peace, the life of Michael Jackson. Somebody who started out this way and being perfect in that person, being perfect in that person, and that God don't make mistakes, and the shape of his nose, the color of his skin, the texture of his hair, the color of his eyes, all these things were perfect because God doesn't make mistakes. But in a humanistic, in a self-perfection effort, we saw what he became. It's the same thing when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your business, your attitude, and you're trying to adjust something in your own abilities, in your own sense of what perfection looked like, in the societal sense, what society has told you is acceptable when it comes to perfection. And then you've run amok. That same pursuit of perfection leads you down a road, whether it's like the brother, may peace and blessings be upon him, that I just mentioned, and many, many others. People are being torn to shreds every day in relationships. Instead of them having God, this thing that we refer to as God as a head figure, it's been replaced with a what's perfection from an earthly standpoint when it comes to this relationship. What's my personal idea of perfection when it comes to this relationship? So you start appeasing, you start downsizing, you start engaging in fakery and all kinds of false behaviors, false attitude. You're accepting things that you were never meant to accept, and you won't even put up with the things that you were meant to accept because it doesn't fit your idea of the pursuit of perfection. You see how perfection can work for us and or against us? That's the whole purpose of this message, because again, oftentimes we say this prayer, may your will be done, Heavenly Father. We say that prayer, but then we spend all of our days, our nights, and our evening, all of our effort, our praying, our tears, all this goes towards praying and doing those things that we want based on what we think perfection looks like. And as a result, you end up working more hours, taking home less money, and a lot less joy, and zero sense of fulfillment. Because you, in your own earthly sense, decided perfection is having this much money coming in every week, having this much money set aside, being able to buy this and buy that. That's your idea. That's your own personalized pursuit of perfection. Perfection can only come from this thing that we call God. And pursuing perfection without him being at the foundation or the centerpiece of it all, it just runs amok. And it turns right, it rises right up and bites a person in the you know what. We got to simultaneously continue to pursue our goals, our hopes, our dreams, our God-given aspirations, self-development, finances, weight loss. We got to continue to pursue these things with a vigor of determination and with a high degree of the pursuit of perfection, while balancing that out with the fact that, hey man, perfection can only come from God. And while I'm struggling to save the money, to save the relationship, to lose the weight, whatever it may be, while I'm struggling in that, I'm already perfect. So I don't have to go out and get the weight loss surgery that a lot of people get. You don't have to do that. You're already perfect. And yes, you can still pursue that goal of weight loss, whatever the case may be, and have perfection in sight. But if you lose sight of God, again, you go from that to getting the surgery. And as on a side note, as my Heavenly Father is my witness, I knew someone very well, who went and had one of those gastro surgeries to lose weight. And they was amongst a few people that occasionally die from those surgeries. So, career, education, your race, your ethnicity, all of these things, none of these things, determines your perfection. Pursuing perfection when it comes to your social skills and being socially accepted, having more social input, having more, whatever, friends. When you take on that mindset and you want that perfection, what does a perfect social identity, if you will, looks like? And you do that from your own set of humanistic thinking, personalized perfection, then you end up sacrificing and aborting who it is that you truly are. Your authenticity gets lost. Your authority gets lost because you're not walking in your God-given authority. You're just trying to fit in because this is what you've decided social perfection looks like. So to have more friends, to have more political influence, you walk away from the perfection of who you truly are in Him, and you surrender your authenticity and your authority. But when you put Him first, your authenticity begins to be exactly what He said it was. He says that your gifts will make a way for you. You don't have to make a way for your gifts. Your gifts will make a way for you. Your attitude, the way you walk, the way you stand, your belief, your stand-up notion, your stand-up way of mentality and heart set, your humble heart set, mindset, your outgoing personality, your not so outgoing, mind your own business type of personality. These things are your gifts, and you don't have to change anything about you. Your gifts will make a way for you. You don't have to sacrifice those things in order to fit in and then hope that your gifts will take you to the next level. Your gifts will make a way for you. So in addition to all those things, man, even when it comes to, again, your path in life. When you are putting God first your path in life and you're walking according to his moves, his instructions, his guidance, divine discernment, when you're walking in accordance with that, then you can stay on your path and walk that perfect path that is so narrow that few it be who find it. You can walk that path, that perfect path that's meant for you to walk. But when you start looking out over the horizon and overly concerned about what perfection looks like to you, what society says perfection is, then you lose sight of your path. And how are you going to get to where you're meant to go when you lose sight of your path? How are you going to get the people, the opportunities that are meant for you, but you're on a whole different path? And you're on a whole different path because you intentionally or unintentionally decided that that perfection that you already are in the eyes of God was not good enough. So you need to change something. You need to alter something. You need to add some things, take some things away. And again, this is not to say that we should not be trying to grow and evolve and change, but we know that we're doing these things, putting him first and knowing that he perfects us and we don't perfect ourselves. Knowing that he has already perfected us and that we simply have to walk it out over divine timelines, you comprehend. So as I begin to wrap this up, it's imperative that you guys know the pros and the cons of pursuing perfection. Pursuing perfection. When it comes to, again, achieving your goals, your educational goals, your relationship goals, career goals, weight loss and fitness goals, whatever the case is. When you're pursuing any or all of these things and you have God first and you're realizing that, hey, I need to be true to this truth that only perfection comes from him. When you're pursuing those things and you know that, then you eventually, in his timing, you'll lose the weight. You'll get the promotion. You'll have the social influence. You'll have everything that's meant for you according to his will. But when you go outside of that and choose a path that you or the world tells you what perfection looks like, then you don't end up with any of those things. You have boxed yourself in and you have used, intentionally, unintentionally most likely, you have used the same weapon, the same motivation, the same tool that you were using to get ahead. You've used that to now work against you. Keep pursuing your goals. Keep pursuing your dreams. Keep pursuing what you know he has informed you to pursue. But know that in the midst of that pursuit, you're already perfect. In the midst of it all, the pursuit of that is perfecting you and bringing to light that perfection that you already are. So you're growing and awakening into becoming the perfection that you already are. When you go outside of that and start thinking earthly, worldly, personal ideas and concepts about perfection, that's when the issues arise. So that's what I got for you guys. Hey, listen, man. I thank you guys so very much, as I mentioned, for tuning in. You know, I'm hopeful, I'm faithfully confident that this message did provide you guys with some edification. And if it did, or if you feel like, hey, maybe it didn't provide anything of value for you, but maybe there's somebody out there that it can provide value to, then please hit the share button. Give this message the opportunity, please, to go out there and serve a purpose, to help someone. This is who we are. So if the shoe didn't fit my foot, fine, I won't wear it. I don't have to throw it away either. I can take this shoe to the Goodwill, the Salvation Army, the neighbors, my friends' kids. My friends, somebody can wear this shoe. Just because it didn't fit me, I don't have to throw it out. So if you got value out of today's message, or if you think there's somebody out there that can get value out of today's message, then please hit the share button and give them the opportunity to do just that. Also, please hit the thumbs up button and the subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, because these two things helps grow the ministry by way of the YouTube algorithm. And then definitely also hit the bell icon if you'd like to receive a notification every time I upload a new message. I do thank you in advance for that, guys. Now let's talk about what makes me a different kind of minister. In order for you to get some pretty good details about that, please watch a video that's titled My Testimony and Disclosure. That's an important video, guys, because you may be turned off by this ministry, or you may be totally inspired by this ministry, the testimony and the disclosures of this ministry. And that video, My Testimony and Disclosure, will put it to you in a pretty much a straightforward way, although all the details are not included. It'll let you know right off the bat what makes me a different kind of minister. When it comes to what makes this a different kind of ministry, let me begin by saying this ministry is not beholding to religion. Nothing against religion. In fact, the origins of this ministry can be traced back to religion. But this ministry, is not handcuffed, limited, or by things such as religion. This ministry, in fact, is promoting a holistic path to life, to health and wellness, and to fulfilling the race that he has set before us. This is a holistic mind, body, and spirit ministry. So this ministry provides you with real-world services that are designed to help strengthen and nourish the mentality, the spirituality, and the physicality of all those who would dare to walk the walk. These real-world services consist of experiential-based philosophical consultative services that are designed to nourish and strengthen the mind, ISSA certified fitness training for the body, and clean-hearted spiritual teachings and practices for the spirit. Additional services in which this holistic approach is utilized consist of good old-fashioned motivational speaking, as well as youth and young adult mentoring and counseling. For some more specific details about these services, what they consist of, how they're implemented, and how they can be of service and benefit to you, please watch a video that's titled MBS Service Tutorial. Please also visit the physical fitness branch of the ministry at mountfitnessmbs.com. And if you have any follow-up questions, or if you'd like to schedule your initial consultation and evaluation in any or all of those services, I'm going to leave an email link down in the description box. And if the Holy Spirit moves you to make a monetary donation to this ministry in an effort to help me fulfill my God-given assignment in his kingdom, and that is to prioritize this ministry as priority one in my life, to spend more time doing the research, the study, promoting, and making messages like this. If you'd like to help me in my quest in my quest to achieve my divine destiny, and you'd like to assist me by way of making a financial donation to help me do those things, spend more time here doing the research, the prayer, and all that good stuff, then please go to the Cash App link that I'll leave down in the description box. Make a monetary donation, and please keep in mind that no amount is too small. That's what I got for you guys. And please remember that my testimony and disclosure video, that's going to inform you of what makes me a different kind of minister. The MBS service tutorial video is going to inform you what makes this a different kind of ministry. And that's what I got for you guys. Hey, again, thank you so very much for all the love and all the support. I do believe that that's everything. I'm going to get out of here, but as always, I encourage you guys to live a life that prioritizes faith. Sound familiar? Faith that you already are perfect. In spite of the heartaches, the headaches, the mistakes, the things that are coming against you, the things you've done wrong, the things that's wrong that's been done to you, what your education says you are, what your finances says you are, the devil is a lie. You already are perfect. That requires faith. So reach out to this ministry if I can be of assistance to you guys. And again, always live a life that prioritizes faith over fear, truth over tradition, knowledge over nonsense, love over lust, and people over profit. That's what I got for you guys. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. I am Brother Minister Mongoose, and I will holler back. Peace.